This is going to be a small but exciting series of videos where I'm comparing all my analog or virtual analog or vintage analog synthesizers that I have here around. And I'm curious how they sound in a very specific situation, which is right now I'm into making some kind of dub techno chord sounds. So like a G minor chord sound and how this sounds on all my synths I have. I won't be able to cover all my synthesizers into one video, so therefore I'm going to split this into the small series, but the idea is really that you are able to jump around back and forth maybe between the YouTube videos in the future, but I hope to keep the methodology so that you can just compare what you hear. For me, you have to know what qualifies a synth is it has to be able to play 3 frequencies at the same time. So when I'm saying 3, I mean either it's polyphonic, so it can play 3 sounds at the same time, obviously, right? Or like a monophonic synthesizer that should be able to have at least 3 oscillators. So therefore my Mini Brute, for example, doesn't come into the game anymore because it has just 2 and I cannot play like 3 minor or like a minor chord. To keep things simple, I'm just using a saw waveform and I'm going to play the same pattern via MIDI from my Ableton Live DAW so that it's comparable. So I'm not going to play this live. What you will hear is, in the first place, just the raw sound without any filter, more or less without any modulation, or if not, at least it will be comparable what you're going to hear. And after that, I'm going to play the same thing, the same MIDI pattern with some modulation the current synthesizer is providing, like maybe ADSR curve and the filter, or maybe I'm switching the filter mechanism that the synthesizer has and adding some delay effect after that in post-production on top so that you can get an idea how it sounds like in a song. The MIDI pattern will consist of several octaves because I think it makes sense to not just always hear the same sound, but as well maybe hear some high frequencies and low frequencies. And by the way, what I'm using therefore to visualize this is the FabFilter Pro Q plugin. I just keep it running so that you see which kind of frequencies you can see here. All the synthesizers are just, comparable to a certain degree because the Model D, for example, right, I'm playing monophonic but with 3 oscillators, but all the other synthesizers have polyphony I have here around. Or the Nordlead has several filter implementations, so I'm going to switch that. On the JP8000 I will use the basic saw waveform, but I guess most people use the super saw waveform, right? So of course I'm going to enable this on the JP8000, so you will hear how this sounds if you would do the same thing on the JP8000. Don't be confused because of the lighting situation, but I was recording those clips over several days, so I'm putting everything together right now this evening and hope it makes sense for what you will see. Alright, so enough talking, but let's jump straight into the comparison, and I'm going to start with my Virus B synthesizer, and after that I'm going to use the Behringer's Moog Model D clone that I have here, and then I head over to my Nordlead A1 I have there, and finally my JP8000. And by the way, thanks to my mate Stans who rented me his Model D, and that's why I call myself Renten, and that's not really funny because I'm German, but nevertheless thanks, man. In future videos I'm going to use some other synthesizers and hopefully I can keep the methodology, what I'm using here, what I'm doing, to keep things comparable. So let's jump into that. So now I'm of course super curious what you think, or even more important, what you have heard. And let us have a conversation about that, and let's start it right there in the comments. Also, tell me what you think about my methodology, like if I could improve something, but of course I would like to keep it comparable to the other videos I'm planning to have. So I hope you like my comparison. If you like it, press the like button and of course subscribe, right? I mean, why do I tell you that? And talk to you soon. Bye.